Hello. So, in my previous video, I was going to do a video where I was going to talk about endings. But then I was looking and I'm pretty sure I already did that video. So, the link to that should be right at the top of the screen. So, instead of talking about something I've already talked about, I'm going to address my 3 favorite types of endings. Now, in the world of storytelling, it is said that there are 6 types of endings. There's resolved endings, unresolved endings, expanded endings, an unexpected ending, an ambiguous ending, and a tied ending. Now, I'm going to try to match my 3 favorite types of endings to the proper type of ending that it is. And I'm also going to give an example from a movie, TV show, or book. So let's start with number 3. I like the happily ever after endings, and it doesn't always have to be happily ever after. I like the endings where it's done. This could be the hero gets the girl, or the hero wins the day. Just something along that line. It really frustrates me when they don't do that. For example, Harry Potter. The last book of Harry Potter. Spoiler warning, by the way. If you don't want spoilers and you haven't finished any of the things I'm going to name, click off of this video now. But we're going to start with Harry Potter. In the last book of Harry Potter, and in the last movie too, we jump forward so much time ahead to where the kids are grown up and married and they have children of their own. I think it was like 15 or 20 years, but the kids have kids of their own. And we see the kids going off to Hogwarts. Harry Potter and his group, their story should be done. For the most part, their story is over with. If the writer wanted to, the writer could say something happens down the road to the children, and maybe the adults get involved. But the whole Voldemort thing with Harry Potter versus Voldemort, it's over. They bet you don't need any more story with Harry Potter after that. And trust me, they tried with the Cursed Child, and I have not read that. I have not seen that. I've heard about it. I've heard people talk about things from it, but it sounds really bad. And I don't count that as part of the canon. To me, it's the 7 books, that's it. I like the Fantastic Beasts movies as a prequel, as something that leads up to it, but even that is starting to get tiresome. Not really because I'm tired of the story, I'm just tired of the drama going on with WB, J.K. Rowling. I'm so sick of that drama. I'm really upset they got rid of Johnny Depp, and they refuse to bring him back on board now that he's been proven not to be guilty of what they were charging him of being guilty with. It wasn't even like he was officially charged. It was trial by social media. So that whole mess with that Fantastic Beast, I was enjoying it until all this crap happened. Now that Johnny Depp's gone, I'm done with it. I don't need it. I don't even need those movies. To me, just the 7 Harry Potter books is fine. But Harry Potter had a conclusive ending. That, to me, is what makes a good ending. When your ending is conclusive. Now let's move into number 2. And for number 2, not really sure what ending this is. I like the endings where there's a hero or somebody important to the story, and they sacrifice themselves to save the day. They sacrifice their life for their friends and family to keep going. That, to me, is a really good ending. It's really emotional because it's very final. I mean, that's it. There's no more story after this. Not with following this person. Right off the top of my head, I guess the only thing I can really think of is The Matrix, But apparently even Neo's death isn't permanent. And that's the thing. If you're going to have a character die and sacrifice, then stick to your guns, please. Because I don't like when they die and they come back and then they die again. It makes the whole thing of death and their sacrifice a lot less. So when it's actually done right and it's done with characters that are not coming back, that to me is a good, powerful ending because you know it's over. And my all-time favorite number one type of ending, and I think this is the Tide ending. It's probably a mixture of Tide and the Resolve type endings. But my all-time favorite is, and it's probably also a little unexpected, when you're thrown a shock or a surprise at the end and you're given clues or the clues are brought back. A good example of this type of ending for me is probably most of the Saw movies. Saw 1 especially. When Jigsaw gets up from the middle of the floor and walks out of the room, and the whole time you're seeing flashbacks to what was really going on. You're like, oh man, if I had only paid more attention, if I had only known this going in. It's a shocking ending that you will never get to repeat that feeling. And it will be burned into your mind just how awesome that ending was, if it's done properly. Now, yeah, it's true. Of course, when you got something that hits like this, you got 5 million things trying to copy it. It's really good for that reason, because if you can do it right, if you can bring in an explanation, even if you brought in, they say in storytelling that you should never just bring in a side character as a killer because you only saw the character once. But if you had clues that pointed to that side character, maybe you only needed to see him once. Killers don't normally go around bragging that they're the killer. There are some times where I'm going to tell, and this is just something I have to say to all writers. I've said this before on this channel. Writing is an art. And lately I've been berated by other authors for my writing. Because everybody keeps telling me, you have to have the main character in chapter 1 of book 1. Well, you know what? My main character is not in chapter 1 of book 1. He's not even in chapter 2. He's mentioned in 2 very briefly. But he is not in the first 2 chapters. The first 2 chapters is the inciting incident of the entire book series. It also sets up the villain of that book. But everybody's telling me I have to have the main character. Do you know that most readers usually skip prologues? I'm not saying all readers do. I'm sure there are some of you readers out there listening to this who are like, I always read the prologue. You might be a few of the exception. But there are a lot out there that don't even read a prologue because they don't want to be spoiled. I promise you, my book, my first 2 chapters, they might seem like part of a prologue. But by prologue rules, it doesn't quite fit because I tell it in the same narrative that the rest of the story is told. It literally happens a day or 2 before the main character is brought in. And like I said, it sets up so much stuff. It sets up kind of the tone of where things are going to go. I did not want to start the book with the main character because I knew where I was bringing in my main character was not interesting. And I wanted to put something interesting to bring you in. I wanted to give you, readers, something to latch onto and say, wow, if he went this big at the beginning, holy crap, where's he going to go? He can't have jumped the shark in chapter 1. So, where is he going to go from here? I gotta see. Because, yeah, chapter 1 is pretty big. There's a pretty big incident that happens that sets up this entire book series. But I have writers online on Facebook, Twitter, telling me I'm wrong, that I need to follow the rules because, well, you know what? It's art. There's no rules when it comes to art. It's called creative writing for a reason. This is why we don't have a lot of creative stories much anymore. Because people are too busy following certain rules and guidelines that I guess have been handed down from somewhere. I never got a copy of the rule book. But, yeah, they're following rules and checklists. Oh, you gotta have this kind of character. You gotta have this kind of character. You have to have this type of character. And you gotta have this happen then. And you gotta have this happen. Why? It's creative. It's a fantasy novel of your world. Does the real world operate on a daily basis by rules? Not all the time. So, I like when you have these types of endings. And yes, this is all still connected to my favorite type of ending. That's why that one hasn't left the bottom of the screen yet. Because as much as I, was talking about at the beginning, this kind of ending breaks those rules. It does something different, but it explains it. Even if, like in Saw, if it's only flashes. My favorite, I loved the end of Saw 1, but the end of Saw 2 was so much better. Because when you got those flashes, when you got those hints of what was really going on, you're like, oh, man, I missed that. And if you saw the first movie, you knew that this ending was going to happen. You knew this ending was coming. And yet somehow, I guarantee those clues still slid past you. So, this has been my 3 favorite types of endings. Now, I'm going to probably do another video later this week where I'm going to bring my 3 least favorite types of endings. So, I hope you'll tune back in for that. Also, I would like to announce that book 5 of my book series is on Amazon right now. If you click the link below, it'll take you to the first book, and through that, you should be able to get to the newest book. Or if you haven't even started this series yet and you want to check out someone who doesn't follow the rules and you like a new, fresh, creative story, seriously consider checking it out on Amazon. The universal link will be in the description below. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing today. I would love nothing more than to hopefully reach 50 subscribers soon so I can give away another free code for a movie. Also, please make sure to click the notification bell when you subscribe so you're notified the minute a video goes up. Because you never know when I'm going to do a giveaway. And sometimes I do it just to be nice. So, look forward to that. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.